In a sport built on precision, power, and pain, sometimes it's not the punch that ends the night. It's the finger. One split-second mistake, one extended hand, and everything changes. Vision's gone, fights stop, titles get lost, and careers nearly end. From accidental grazes to career-altering pokes, these are the moments that made fighters scream, fans wince, and the world remember. When people talk about the worst eye pokes in UFC history, this one always seems to come up. Anthony "Rumble" Johnson was a rising prospect at the time. He was explosive, he was so powerful, and he was just starting to make his mark. But on that night in 2008, everything went wrong. Kevin Burns, his opponent for the night, kept landing open-handed strikes. And more than once, his fingers found Johnson's eyes. One poke after another, and somehow the referee didn't step in. By the third round, Johnson's right eye was a mess, and then came the disaster. Burns extended his hand again, and his finger went deep into Rumble's eye, and Johnson immediately crumbled, clutching his face in agony. And the referee for the night, he thought it was a punch. He stopped the fight, TKO victory for Kevin Burns. Fans were furious, Dana White was furious, and when the slow-motion replay showed the poke clear as day, it became one of the biggest officiating blunders in UFC history. Johnson would later need eye surgery, and the fight became a cautionary tale for every referee that followed. A poke so bad it changed the rulebook, and it scarred a fighter's career. Sometimes one moment can change everything, and for Vagner Prado, it happened before his UFC career even started. The undefeated Brazilian stepped into the octagon against Phil Davis, a top 5 light heavyweight known for his wrestling and precision striking. But midway through the first round, Davis threw a straight left, and his finger went directly into Prado's right eye. Instant reaction. Prado screamed in pain, clutching his face, completely blinded. And the referee jumped in immediately, but it was clear he couldn't see a thing. The fight was then stopped, it was ruled a no contest, and Prado was absolutely devastated, sobbing in the cage, begging for another chance. The replay was brutal. It was slow motion, and it showed the finger digging deep, the eye twisting on impact. It was accidental, sure, but it looked horrific. It's one thing to deal with the pressure of a title fight, and then it's another to deal with it when you're half blind. At UFC 129, George St. Pierre defended his welterweight belt against grappling specialist Jake Shields, and what started as a tactical battle turned into a painful mess. In the latter rounds of the fight, Shields, his fingers accidentally raked across GSP's right eye, not once, but twice. The second poke instantly changed everything. St. Pierre backed off, blinking, squinting, and you could just see the panic on his face. He told his corner between rounds,
"I can't see with my left."
But the champ, he kept on fighting, relying on his instincts and his grit to survive the rest of the bout. Despite being nearly blind on one side, GSP went the distance, and he won by decision, cementing his reputation as one of the toughest champions the UFC has ever seen. The poke, it left him with a scratched cornea and blurred vision for days, but he never complained. Just another night's work for one of the all-time greats. Some rivalries define an era, and Jon Jones vs. Daniel Cormier was pure fire from start to finish. Two of the greatest fighters alive, and two men who genuinely couldn't stand each other. But beyond the trash talk, beyond the tension, there was one thing that kept sparking debate: the eye pokes. It started in their first fight at UFC 182. Jon Jones used his trademark long reach and his open hand stance to control the distance, but his fingers kept finding a way into Cormier's eyes. Herb Dean warned him multiple times, yet the pokes, they continued. Jon Jones won the bout by decision, but fans and DC alike called him out for his dirty tactics. Then we go over to UFC 214, which was 2 years later, and the same story unfolded once again. Jones came in with his fingers extended, Cormier flinched from another eye poke, and Big John McCarthy stepped in with another warning. But by then, the eye pokes weren't just a mistake, they were part of the rivalry's identity. Accident or not, well, those extended fingers became symbolic of Jon Jones himself. Brilliant, dominant, and always surrounded by controversy. For Daniel Cormier, eye pokes had already haunted his rivalry with Jon Jones. But when he stepped into the octagon for the final time against Stipe Miocic, history repeated itself, and in the worst way possible. At UFC 252, the heavyweight trilogy came to its epic conclusion. But the fight took a brutal turn in round 3. During an exchange near the cage, Miocic's fingers jabbed deep into Cormier's left eye. DC immediately shouted, "I can't see," backing off in visible pain. The referee missed the severity of it. There was no timeout, there was no point deduction, and the fight just went on. From that moment, Cormier was fighting half blind. His left eye was nearly swollen shut, his vision was almost gone, and yet he just kept swinging until the final horn. Afterwards, doctors confirmed a torn cornea, and DC admitted that he fought 2 rounds completely blind on one side.
Now, let's go to the eye poke.
I mean, look at my eye.
It's pretty significant.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
I couldn't see the rest of the fight.
How is it you don't see right now?
I can't see anything out of my left eye.
Black. It's
black.
It wasn't malicious, it was just tragic. The end of a legendary rivalry, and a painful reminder that sometimes in the octagon, even the greatest warriors can't see the hits coming. At UFC Fight Night 187, Leon Edwards, well, he finally returned to the octagon after almost 2 years away. He was hungry, he was sharp, and he was pretty dominant early on against Belal Muhammad. But in round 2, everything changed in an instant. As Leon Edwards extended his lead hand, a single finger jabbed straight into Belal's right eye. It was deep, it was clean, and it was devastating for those watching. Belal immediately fell back. He was screaming in pain, clutching his face as the referee rushed in. The replay made everyone cringe. The poke was brutal. The fight was waved off as a no contest, and Belal was left in tears, unable to open his eye. And it wasn't intentional, but it was unforgettable. One of those moments that silenced the entire arena. And that just showed that one split second can erase months of hard work. Some eye pokes are accidents. This one nearly ended a man's career for real. At UFC 159, Michael Bisping faced Alan Belcher in what looked like a solid middleweight clash. But late in the fight, disaster struck. Bisping threw a jab, and his finger caught Belcher flush in the same eye that had already suffered a detached retina years earlier. Belcher instantly turned away, clutching his face as blood began trickling down. The referee stopped the fight, and doctors had to rush in. The replay showed it all. It was a clean, deep eye poke that reopened years of trauma for Belcher. The fight was ruled a technical decision win for Michael Bisping, but nobody was celebrating. Belcher was left with stitches, blurred vision, and another long recovery. It wasn't dirty, but it was devastating. After the chaos of Bisping and Belcher, UFC 148 Las Vegas, Ricky Fukuda throws a body kick, but his fingers dig straight into Costa Philippou's eye. Philippou drops instantly, screaming in pain and clutching his face. The crowd goes silent, and for a moment, it looks over. But somehow, he stands back up, half blinded, fighting through the burn. Then he decides he is gonna go the distance. He wins the decision, And yet, the victory, it feels somewhat secondary, because what people remember is the sound, that fall, and that moment where a clean fight turned ugly in a blink. It wasn't dirty, it wasn't planned, but it was one of the nastiest accidents that we have seen in the octagon. And finally, the one that everyone is still talking about. At UFC 321, interim heavyweight champ Tom Aspinall stepped into the cage to defend his title against Ciryl Gane, the slickest striker in the division. From the opening bell, Gane looked sharp. He was light on his feet, he was mixing in jabs, and he was even throwing in some awesome leg kicks. He was cutting Aspinall early, and he found a way to draw blood. The champ was bleeding in the first round, and the crowd, they could feel it. This was going to be a war, and it kind of looked at one point like Ciryl Gane could be the favorite. Then, in a blink, it all went wrong. During a close exchange, Gane's fingers stretched forward and they dug deep into Aspinall's eye. Tom instantly turned away shouting, and the referee jumped in. The fans began to boo, not understanding what had happened and thinking that the champ was trying to play it safe because Ciryl Gane was winning the bout thus far. And Aspinall, well, he tried to explain, yelling back to the crowd when he was on the mic with DC, saying, "I got poked in the eye. I can't see, guys. Why are you booing me?" And guys, the frustration was all over his face. The fight, it was waved off. It became a no contest. And the replays only made things messier. They showed the poke landing in both of his eyes, yet Aspinall was only complaining about the one eye. And that just shows how truly ugly it was. No matter how we feel about it, it was ugly, and it left everyone with questions. Ciryl Gane, who had been having a strong first round, he looked completely gutted, thinking that his possible chance at the title is now gone. Aspinall was bleeding, and he was furious. He could barely open his eye as the doctors checked him. And it was just one of those nights that left the arena stunned, and the internet is still divided. Was it accidental? Well, absolutely in my opinion. Was it exaggerated? Well, maybe, but I want you guys to let me know in the comments about that. So guys, you let us know. Did Tom Aspinall make it look worse than it was? Or was this just another brutal example of how cruel eye pokes can really be in MMA? Let me know in the comments down below, guys. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for more MMA content like this. And guys, I'm Ty, and I will catch you on the next one.